Amanda Knox. The name alone evokes a torrent of emotions and opinions. For some, she's a victim, wrongly accused and subjected to a flawed justice system. For others, she's a cunning manipulator who escaped justice. In 2007, Knox, then a 20-year-old American student studying abroad, was thrust into the global spotlight when her roommate, Meredith Kircher, was found brutally murdered in their Perugia, Italy apartment. The ensuing trial, rife with twists and turns, captivated the world. Knox and her then-boyfriend Raffaele Solicito were convicted, acquitted, and then convicted again in the Italian courts, only to be definitively acquitted by Italy's highest court in 2015. Just when it seemed like Knox was finally free from the shadow of suspicion, a new legal battle emerged. This time it wasn't about the murder itself, but about Knox's accusations against Italian police. Knox had claimed that police pressured her into making false statements during the investigation. This accusation, deemed defamatory by the Italian courts, led to her latest legal battle. The news of her defamation conviction in Italy sent shockwaves through the international community, reigniting the debate over Knox's guilt and innocence. The case, marked by cultural clashes and conflicting narratives, has been the subject of countless books, documentaries, and analyses, each attempting to decipher the truth behind the tragedy. But even after years of legal battles, the truth remains elusive, shrouded in a cloud of doubt and speculation. The saga began in November 2007, when the lifeless body of Meredith Kircher, a British student, was discovered in the apartment she shared with Amanda Knox in Perugia. The crime scene was horrific, bearing the hallmarks of a violent struggle. The investigation quickly focused on Knox and Solicito, along with Rudy Guade, a local man. The prosecution painted a picture of a drug-fueled sex game gone wrong, with Knox portrayed as the mastermind behind the murder. The prosecution presented DNA evidence linking Guade to the crime scene, and circumstantial evidence linking Knox and Solicito to the murder weapon. However, the defense argued that the DNA evidence was unreliable, and that the prosecution's case was based on conjecture and cultural misunderstandings. The trial, held amidst intense media scrutiny, became a spectacle, with every detail scrutinized and debated. The prosecution's portrayal of Knox as a promiscuous party girl clashed with her family's insistence on her innocence, creating a stark divide in public opinion. The initial trial concluded in 2009 with Knox and Solicito found guilty. Knox was sentenced to 26 years in prison, while Solicito received a 25-year sentence. Guade, tried separately, was convicted and sentenced to 30 years, later reduced to 16 years on appeal. The guilty verdict sent shockwaves through the international community, with many questioning the fairness of the Italian justice system. In 2011, after spending 4 years behind bars, Knox and Solicito were granted a retrial. The retrial, ordered by an Italian appeals court, cast doubt on the handling of DNA evidence and the conduct of the initial investigation. Key pieces of evidence were re-examined and new expert testimony was presented, casting further doubt on the prosecution's case. The retrial captivated the world, with many hoping for a definitive answer to the question that had lingered for years. Were Knox and Solicito guilty, or were they victims of a miscarriage of justice? The retrial culminated in a dramatic acquittal for Knox and Solicito. The court ruled that the prosecution had failed to prove their guilt beyond a reasonable doubt, citing inconsistencies in the evidence and flaws in the initial investigation. Knox, overjoyed, returned to the United States, where she attempted to rebuild her life, forever marked by the ordeal she had endured. However, the legal battle wasn't over. The Italian Supreme Court, in a highly unusual move, overturned the acquittals in 2013, ordering yet another trial. This time, the trial would focus not on the murder itself, but on Knox's accusations against the Italian police. The new trial centered on Knox's claims that Italian police had coerced her into making false statements during the initial investigation. Knox had alleged that she was subjected to hours of intense interrogation without a lawyer present, and that she was pressured into implicating herself and others. She claimed that police had slapped her on the head and threatened her with a long prison sentence if she didn't cooperate. Knox's allegations, if true, raised serious questions about the integrity of the investigation and the conduct of the Italian authorities. The trial, held in absentia, with Knox remaining in the United States, became a referendum on the Italian justice system itself. The prosecution argued that Knox's claims were baseless and that she was attempting to deflect blame and tarnish the reputation of the Italian police. The defense, however, argued that Knox's statements were made under duress and were not credible. They presented evidence that Knox was young, vulnerable, and unfamiliar with the Italian legal system, making her susceptible to pressure from authority figures. In 2014, the Italian court delivered its verdict, finding Knox guilty of defamation. The court ruled that Knox's accusations against the police were false and had damaged the reputation of the officers involved. Knox was sentenced to 3 years in prison, a sentence she did not have to serve as she had already spent more than that time in custody. The verdict was met with mixed reactions. Some legal experts argued that the court's decision was justified, as Knox's accusations were serious and potentially damaging. Others, however, criticized the verdict, arguing that it was an attempt to silence Knox and discourage others from speaking out against police misconduct. The case highlighted the complexities of international law and the challenges of seeking justice across borders. The Amanda Knox saga is a stark reminder of the human cost of high-profile legal battles. For Knox, the case has been all-consuming, casting a long shadow over her life. The repeated trials, the conflicting narratives, and the relentless media scrutiny have taken an immeasurable toll. The case has also raised important questions about the role of media in shaping public opinion, the challenges of navigating different legal systems, and the elusive nature of truth. Whether or not Amanda Knox was involved in the murder of Meredith Kercher remains a subject of debate. The legal battles may be over, but the cloud of suspicion and the scars of the ordeal are likely to remain with Knox for the rest of her life. The case serves as a cautionary tale about the presumption of innocence, the importance of due process, and the enduring power of doubt. Like for more content and subscribe.